So the central question of Imbolc is, what are you tending quietly without applause? So I would like you to think on that a little bit. Like, what are you working on that you're not getting any recognition for right now? Are you on a health journey? Are you going to the gym every day and you're really showing up for yourself, but you're not yet seeing the results? So nobody's really acknowledging that you're going to the gym every day, or that you have now started eating really healthy and you've cut out junk food and you're not drinking soda anymore. But maybe people aren't really recognizing that or feeling like that's something that they necessarily need to celebrate. Or um, maybe you're quietly building a side business, right? Maybe you have a corporate job and your heart is to do something completely different, but on the weekends and in your free time, you're building your online business on Etsy, and no one's really cheering you on because you haven't really told anyone yet. So, what are those things that you're working on right now? Welcome to Big Crystal Energy, Season 3, the Veil Season. I'm Ashleigh, and I live at the threshold between medicine and magic, between the visible world and what waits just beyond it, between the person I present and the witch I am. I've learned something. The in-between isn't a problem to solve. It's a place of power. This season, we're exploring the veil, where Victorian women spoke for the dead, where fairies guard the crossroads, where glamour becomes armor, where you stop apologizing for being both things at once. The crystals have always known the way through. Let me show you. Hello. Welcome back to Big Crystal Energy, my beautiful, magical friends. I'm Ashleigh, and today we are stepping into one of the quietest yet most powerful thresholds of the Wheel of the Year. And this is a festival or a Sabbat called Imbolc. And I am really jazzed to do this episode because, truth be told, this is one of my favorites of the year. I can't quite pinpoint it. I think it's just because we still have the energy of winter, but then we're kind of creeping in a little bit into that energy of spring. And, it's still cold outside and it's still very foggy and all of that where I live anyway. And I've been loving it this year. I truly have been loving it this year, unlike any year in the past in which I have physically wanted to repel this time of year. But this year has felt completely different. And so this is another installment of my Wheel of the Year series, which I will be going through the whole Wheel of the Year. I already started with Samhain at Halloween time, and then we went and did Yule, and now we are at Imbolc. And this is a big episode because I have a lot of stuff to cover, and I have a lot of really cool little goodies here on my desk that I want to share with you. So be sure to check out this episode on YouTube if you want to see my goodies. I will do my very best to also post them on my social media. Before we get started, I want to light a little bit of incense, get the vibes right. I have this loose incense that I absolutely love from the Sword and the Rose in San Francisco. It is truly the most magical incense of all time. We're going to light some incense. We're going to cleanse our space. We're going to get into that high vibrational energy, and it's going to feel really good. So this is not the loud beginning of spring. This is the fire beneath the snow. The moment when something begins to stir, even if there is no visible proof yet. Before we move into Imbolc, Brigid, ritual, tarot, and all the magic we're weaving today, I want to start this episode by sharing what's currently giving me big crystal energy. I have gotten away from this segment, and I haven't done what's given me big crystal energy in a while, but I want to get back to it because it really helps me find magical moments in my everyday. So I was recently on a girls' trip with my friends from school. They've been on the podcast before. I was in Napa, and when the girls and everybody had to kind of disband and go back to their homes and everything, and I was wanting to go to one of my favorite bookstores in Napa. It's called Copperfield Books. Shout out to the people at Copperfields. I love your bookstore. It is amazing. There's several different locations too. But I walked into the bookstore. I didn't have any specific agenda. I just knew that I wanted to be in there. And I wasn't looking for any specific book. I was just browsing, letting myself be pulled around the bookstore. And there was a book on the shelf that just really called to me. And I picked it up and I just really loved the cover of it. It was beautiful. It had like this foresty cover and it was called Guided. And I just wasn't sure. I'd never heard of it was a book called Guided by Laura Lynn Jackson. I'd never heard of this author before. I don't know, just something about the book drew me in. It was called Guided, like a path to an illuminated life or something along those lines. I'll have to post a picture of it on my social media because I'm currently reading it. Well, that wasn't the moment that was like the beginning of this very synchronistic moment. So when I was in Napa, my friend Angela, who is very much into like, she's very, what would be the word for it? Connected to the spirit realm. Let's just say that. And she had been watching some videos. I don't know if it was on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And she showed me this video and this woman was talking about something. And she's like, oh my gosh, I just really feel drawn to this woman's message. I wasn't really paying attention because there was a lot going on. My other girlfriends were there. And she's like, I'm going to order a couple books by this woman. Okay, great. And then the next day, she bought the books from Amazon and they arrived at the Airbnb the next day. And I was like, wow, that was really fast. And one was called Signs. And I really wasn't paying attention. Well, come to find out that the books that she bought happened to also be by Laura Lynn Jackson. And I was like, whoa, Angela, wait a minute. That's crazy. We both bought books by the same author. Neither one of us had heard of that author. And her books are all about signs and synchronicities. Like, wow, that was crazy. So that was just like, I don't know. These synchronistic events have been coming in hot lately. And I encourage you to notice them in your life as well, because they do mean something. They do mean something. So my friend was telling me that she was really getting a lot from the book that she was reading. And then I started reading Guided and I was like, wow, I'm really getting a lot from this book as well. So I was thinking, when we're done reading our books, we have to swap our books. And I don't know. I don't know what the final message will be. I want to share that with you when I'm done reading the book. But so far, it's been really, really fascinating read. So that's giving me big crystal energy. I think sometimes synchronistic events just make us feel like the world, the universe is so much bigger than ourselves. And so many things happen synchronistically that there's just really no way to explain it otherwise. And I don't really think it's a coincidence. I think that it happens. I think there is a reason why that happened, why we both picked up books by this woman. So stay tuned. We'll see. We'll see what else is revealed through that book and my friend's book. But that is exactly the energy of Imbolc. So Imbolc is about listening instead of pushing. It's about trusting before proof arrives, about tending a flame simply because you feel called to, not because you know where it's going yet. Today, we're going to explore the deeper meaning of Imbolc, its symbolism, the goddess Brigid, the ancestral and liminal aspects of this season, the crystals and correspondences associated with it, and we'll work with I'm going to show you my Seasons of the Witch tarot deck, which is it's the winter tarot for both Yule and Imbolc. Gorgeous deck. Love this. And then also my Seasons of the Witch oracle deck. I also will be offering a 3-card Imbolc spread with a live reading that you can follow along with, and we'll close off with a touch of glamour magic, because tending your inner fire deserves beauty, attention, intention, and care. So grab a candle, a warm drink, maybe a crystal or 5, and let's step into Imbolc together. So what is Imbolc anyway? So it's celebrated around February 1st or 2nd. It is a cross-quarter fire festival. It's halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, often translated as in the belly. It's a season of gestation, not manifestation. Traditionally, it is associated with the returning light, the lactation of the ewes or sheep, nourishment, purification, and this quiet renewal. Imbolc is not about action. It's about belief before evidence. And I think that is the key, right? So I know for me personally right now, I'm working on a lot of different things behind the scenes. And I have to believe that those things are going to work in order for me to put action towards them. Does that make sense? So Brigid, okay, I have this little corn husk dolly right here made by the Persnickety Witch. I think I got this off of Etsy a couple years ago. Look how cute she is with her red hair. Excuse me. Brigid is often associated with fire. She's the goddess of fire, but her fire is not wild or destructive. It is kept fire. It's like a fire that you would have in your hearth, or, you know, if you were tending to a small fire outside, the flame that survives because someone tends to it every single day. Brigid is associated with the hearth and sacred flame, holy wells, and healing waters. She's associated with poetry and inspired speech, smithcraft and transformation, healing, midwifery, and protection. But beyond all of that, Brigid is a goddess of continuity. She exists as a pagan goddess, a Christian saint, a folk protector, an ancestral memory. She moves effortlessly across belief systems, centuries, and thresholds, which I find so fascinating. I think the reason I like Imbolc is just the amount of history and the expansiveness of it. I think that's one of the reasons I love it so much. I'm going to have to get my Imbolc altar set up with my Brigid. So Brigid is often introduced in this way. And I think that one of the best things that you could do is, if you're very interested in this festival, or if you're interested in exploring Brigid more, one of the things that I did, and this is a book that really shaped my understanding of Brigid, not really as like her as an idea, but as like building a relationship with this goddess, is this book called Brigid's Light, Tending the Ancestral Flame of the Beloved Celtic Goddess. And this book frames devotion to Brigid as practice and not just a performance. Brigid's flame is not about grand rituals or having an elaborate altar or doing the right things. It's really more about showing up, remembering, carrying something forward. Brigid is the flame we inherit and the one we pass on. And this is especially powerful if you feel like you are a cycle breaker in your family, or you're creating something that doesn't necessarily have a roadmap. Maybe you're a new business owner and you're trying to do something that nobody else has ever done before, or you're tending a life that looks different than the one that you came from, right? Like so many of us, myself included, my lifestyle is completely different than the lifestyle that I grew up with. And I think, you know, most of us experience that, right? So this book is really, really cool. There's lots of different poems and tarot spreads and history and prayers and ritual work. And let's see what else here. Like, yeah, different spells and blessings. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Invocations, correspondences. It's just like a very, very, I don't know. It's just like a very thorough book. I think it's really cool. Anyway, highly recommend. I'm going to post a picture of this too so that you guys can see it and link it in the show notes. Brigid is also a deeply liminal goddess. She governs winter, becoming spring. She is inspiration becoming a form, right? She takes that inspiration and creates something out of it. The spirit also, she's like also the spirit that becomes embodied, birth, death, rebirth. She represents all of those elements as well. And she's a midwife, not one who rushes transformation, but one who holds space for it. So there's a lot of symbolism associated with Imbolc. So number one, we have candles and flame. Not necessarily just for the illumination of it, but for presence. It's a reminder that light exists even when it's small. Milk is a symbol for nourishment, maternal energy, sustenance during scarcity. We also have seeds that are not planted yet. They're held, they're protected, they're waiting. Keys. Keys are thresholds to opening slowly, permission rather than force. We have the hearth in the home, which is magic woven into daily life, the sacred repetition of daily life. So the central question of Imbolc is, what are you tending quietly without applause? So I would like you to think on that a little bit. Like, what are you working on that you're not getting any recognition for right now? Are you on a health journey? Are you going to the gym every day and you're really showing up for yourself, but you're not yet seeing the results? So nobody's really acknowledging that you're going to the gym every day, or that you have now started eating really healthy and you've cut out junk food and you're not drinking soda anymore. But maybe people aren't really recognizing that or feeling like that's something that they necessarily need to celebrate. Or maybe you're quietly building a side business, right? Maybe you have a corporate job and your heart is to do something completely different, but on the weekends and in your free time, you're building your online business on Etsy, and no one's really cheering you on because you haven't really told anyone yet. So what are those things that you're working on right now? So before we move into the tarot and the oracle cards, I want to create a moment of stillness. Brigid holds both darkness and light, winter and spring, silence and song. So I'm going to read a poem now called Brigid Dark and Bright by H. Byron Ballard. So as you listen, don't analyze, just receive. Notice what stirs, notice what feels remembered. I'm going to read it out of this book. In the steep and common path of our calling, be it easy or uneasy to our flesh, be it dark or bright for us to follow, may your perfect guidance be upon us. Brigid of the forge, be thou a shield to us. Brigid of the fold, be thou our shepherd and our healer. In our secret thought our minds may weave. Brigid of the loom, give us sweet clarity in our grief or pain or sadness. Brigid of the well, heal us, strengthen us, stand with your mighty shoulder near to ours. And in our joys and in our bliss, Brigid of the hearth, keeper of the bread plate, maker of beer, dance with us as we waken the great round garden of the world. I thought that was kind of beautiful. So, Brigid doesn't ask us to choose between the dark and the light. She asks us to tend to both. And for me, I think this is just a central theme in the way that I want and live my life in general. I have, as far as astrology, I have a Sagittarius sun and I have a Scorpio moon. So I'm very light and bright and fun, but then I also have this like deep introspective, like spooky side to me, right? So I feel very much like I connect with the season because it's this juxtaposition between the light and the dark. You're not quite in the light, you're not quite in the dark. You're just kind of like on this threshold between both. And I really feel like that's my comfort zone. That's my place, is in that threshold. And so now, after really arriving at that for myself, I see why this particular time of year feels so comforting to me, because this is me. And I think as we go through the wheel of the year, there may be certain festivals that you feel called to. Maybe you love spring energy, that like rich spring energy with flowers blooming and Easter eggs and bunnies. So you may feel more attracted to, let's say, Ostara. Or maybe you really love the fall and you love when the leaves are changing and you love just like when things are slowly starting to die, but they're not completely dead yet. So maybe you love Mabon better. So I feel like there's always going to be one of these Sabbats that really calls to you, or maybe multiple. So, if what I'm saying to you doesn't really resonate with you for this particular time of year, that's okay. I'm just explaining to you what it means. And I'm just telling you personally that this is something that I really resonate with. So I'm going to do a 3-card oracle spread from the Seasons of the Witch Imbolc Oracle, because I think the messages on these cards are really cool. So let's get into that. I'm just going to shuffle up these cards. So let me just show you the cover of this oracle deck is so beautiful. There's this woman and she has incense and she's got these candles floating around her. And the artist is Tiana Lukovic. And this deck is written by Lorraine Anderson and Juliet Diaz. They have decks for all the Sabbats. So this particular deck is my favorite out of all of them. I have all of them. Of course I do. No surprise there. So let me just pull 3 cards really quick. And then the first question is, what is awakening within me? So we're going to just do kind of like a universal read. And I'll tell you like what the card is suggesting for all of us. Like what is awakening within us right now? Or maybe you could just think about it. If you have this deck, maybe you just want to pull from this deck or any sort of oracle tarot deck that you have and ask the similar questions. So here we go. So what is awakening within me? The card I pulled it says, Dark Days of Winter. I must seek to befriend the hidden parts of self, the darkness that embraces the whole of who I am. And so I think this is really interesting because this is kind of back to what I was saying. We have to be okay with the darker parts of ourselves. For us to see the light, we have to acknowledge the dark. And in order to pass through and get to the light, we have to go through darkness. And it's okay to sit with those dark moments. And it's even encouraged to. I mean, I really think about my own life, how the darkness got me to where I am now. But I would have never gotten to where I am now had I not passed through that darkness. So I do befriend it. I do befriend it because without it, none of this would be. And that doesn't mean that I'm just forgetting it or I'm bypassing it. I'm just recognizing that had to happen for there to be something else. So let's just awaken a little bit of the darkness within ourselves and learn from those lessons. The second question is, what needs gentle tending right now? Okay. Let's see what we get here. What needs gentle tending right now? Okay, I got peppermint. So maybe you have a peppermint plant that you need to tend to right now. I don't know. I don't grow anything. I have a black thumb. Take from me what keeps me held back, clearing myself from all that does not belong in the vision of what is to come. So I think what we're learning here is that let's recognize the things that are holding us back. What is that? What is it? Is it the fear of being judged? Is it the fear of what other people will say? Is it the fear of being visible, exposing ourselves? What is the fear exactly? Like, what holds you back? Is it because you don't feel like you have all the knowledge? Is it because you have perfectionism that you're dealing with? So let's tend to those things. Let's evaluate the things that are holding us back, and let's see what small steps we can take to work through that. Okay, I like that. I like that. That's very good. And then, how can I honor this becoming? So what is it that we're working on in 2026? Like, what are we excited about? How can we honor this? I have a lot of things that I'm working on. I'm for the podcast. I'm building my online website. Don't even go to bigcrystalenergy.com. It's a hot mess. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. So how can I honor this? How can you honor whatever you have going on in your world? Okay. So I got the Winter Woodlands. Take time to honor what you feel. Oh, wow. How about that? Self-compassion is the healing balm you desire. Okay. So let's look at this. So maybe the things that you have that are holding you back, which we refer back to the second question, maybe we can honor how we're feeling and be compassionate with ourselves. I want to give an example for you all of just what's been going on for me personally in the past week. So maybe it'll make a little bit of sense. Because I feel like this whole spread that we just went through literally just played out for me in the past week, which is really fascinating. So lately, I've been feeling overwhelmed. You know, I went on this beautiful trip with my girlfriends. We were in Napa. We had so much fun. We had such a great time. And then I went to this bookstore and I had like this cool moment finding that book. And I drove home and I listened to such a great podcast. And then I walked in the door and it was literally like crossing that threshold of walking in the door. Then it was like shit hit the fan. It was chaos in my house. The kids were screaming and going crazy. The house is a mess because my husband had been on daddy daycare duty all weekend. And, you know, it's a lot for him to keep up with by himself. And, you know, he has his own things going on. So things were just out of control. And instantly I could feel myself I could just feel my anxiety just spiking instantly. Okay. And then the next day, so that was a Sunday, and then the next day was a Monday. So I was technically off work that day, but I had interviews for the podcast and I had all this stuff stacked on top of each other that I have to get done on my days off, right? Because I really can't do too much podcasting stuff on my work days because I'm at work all day and I get home and I have the kids to take care of, which is fine. So my days off, my technical days off of work are typically stacked with stuff. So the house was a mess. And then my day off was stacked with stuff. So I couldn't really contain the mess. And then on Wednesday was my son's birthday. And so I was like scrambling to get last minute birthday things for him and trying to find time to wrap the presents and like all of the things. And it was just like that day of his birthday was just like really overwhelming because I had to get him up. We had to get up there early and everybody had to get out of the house and I had to go get him donuts for his class and I had to do all this stuff and I still had to be at work by 8. And so it was just like, I felt like I had lived a whole lifetime before I even got to work. And then he wanted me to pick him up from school early and I couldn't because I had patients to see and I didn't get him picked up until later. And then he was in a bad mood. And then I had to go home and scramble and wrap the presents. And then we had to go out to dinner. And then my husband moved his car in the parking lot 4 times before we even ate. And that was annoying me. It was just like, you know how life can be. Like things sometimes just snowball. And it's not that it's any one bad thing. And it sometimes is not even like, it's not even like a big deal, but it's just like things are stacking. And then in the back of my mind, I've got all this interesting stuff going on with the podcast. I'm making connections and I'm like having all this cool stuff going on. But then it also feels really overwhelming because I've got like all this work stuff going on my son's birthday. And then we're supposed to go to Great Wolf Lodge and we're supposed to do this and that and the other. And so by the time last night rolled around, we get home from Great Wolf Lodge and I'm just like, holy hell, I am totally tapped out. Like I am dysregulated. I am overwhelmed. I am overstimulated. And I was supposed to meet up with some friends. And I had been really looking forward to meeting up with my friends as one does, right? And I was supposed to go do that last night. And I was so like dysregulated, like emotionally, physically, spiritually, all the things I had to cancel. And I felt really bad. But the moment that I canceled, there was almost like this instant sense of relief because it was just one less thing on my plate. And, you know, it sucks when we have to cancel, but it's also like the reason I'm telling this story is that I had to accept that going through all this chaos was almost enlightening and awakening because I realized like I can't live like this. I was feeling so, what would be the word for it? Like I was just feeling so almost like claustrophobic in my life with so much going on, both like in that moment and then also just in the world around me as far as like everything that I have going on. And so I just realized like I have to tend to this like chaotic part of my life before really anything can move forward. So I'm like actively figuring out how to mitigate the chaos in my life. And then also I'm honoring myself because I'm realizing that it truly was honoring myself last night to cancel my plans. I could have pushed through. I could have gone and then I would have woken up today still feeling very stressed, very dysregulated, very overstimulated. But instead, I stayed home. I did a new moon tarot spread. I did some journaling. I picked up my house. I kind of vegged out with my kids a little bit, went to bed early. And this morning I woke up and I felt great. It's been a great day. But if I didn't go through all of that whirlwind chaos, like I wouldn't be where I am today in this moment, feeling really good and grounded. So that's what this season is all about. And I love that. So anyway, this was a great little spread for us. And I'm sorry I got into that very long-winded story, but I just want to share that because maybe you're someone like me where you overschedule yourself and everything sounds fun in the moment, but then when it comes down to it, it's just like, wow, that was a lot. I do that. That's my Sagittarius side. Like I want to do it all. I want to have fun. I love having fun. I love signing up for everything. I want to have all the friends, all the things. But then sometimes I just overload myself and I then just have a nervous breakdown and poop out. So this is the time of year to slow down. So I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, I have some slowing down time and I'm not making any plans. And then my mom's coming to visit and she'll be able to help me with the kids a little bit and help me with some projects around the house. And that will feel really good. Now, I also want to share that I am taking, and I think maybe I've shared this in the past, but I'm taking this really interesting glamour magic course. And so I do want to start sprinkling in some glamour into some of the things that I'm talking about. So I wanted to do glamour magic for Imbolc. So glamour magic here is not attraction, it's insulation, right? So in this sense, the glamour is going to be an insulation. So we're going to use perfume as this liminal anchor and jewelry as energetic containment and lipstick or, whatever adornment that you like to put on your face or whatnot as a ward. So the easiest thing that you can do is just adorn yourself intentionally while naming what you're tending. Okay, does that make sense? So as you're putting on your jewelry, as you're putting on your makeup and your lipstick, you may say to yourself out loud, I tend my flame gently. I trust what is becoming. And you can just repeat that as you put on your perfume of choice, as you put on your jewelry or lipstick or whatnot of choice. I tend my flame gently. I trust what is becoming. Let's see, what other things do I have, little goodies do I have here on my desk for Imbolc? I guess that's it. Okay, well, I thought I had, maybe that was it. I did have a bunch of goodies. I showed you guys the book, the cards, the dolly. Oh, and then we have this Celtic cross, the Brigid's prayer. I also have this, which is really cool. This cross, let's see here, St. Brigid's prayer. Oh, here, this is nice. Let me read St. Brigid's prayer. May Brigid bless the house wherein you dwell, bless every fireside, every wall and door, bless every heart that beats beneath its roof, bless every hand that tolls to bring it joy, bless every foot that walks its portals through. May Brigid bless the house that shelters you. St. Brigid, patroness of Ireland, founded its first women's religious community. A cross made of rushes is her special emblem and is thought to ward away evil from the house that displays it. So I'm not sure where I got this little Brigid. It's like a little ornament, and I usually hang it on my altar for Imbolc. I think that's probably another reason why I like Imbolc so much, because there's so many cool books and oracle decks and the little cornhusk dolly and all the little things. You know I love a bit, and I love a bauble more than anything. So as we close this Imbolc episode, I want to remind you that this season isn't asking you to know the outcome. It's asking you to listen, to tend, to trust what hasn't shown itself yet. Imbolc is not the beginning, it's the remembering. Whether Brigid showed up for you through creativity, healing, or quiet guidance, whether the cards felt clear or mysterious, or whether you're leaving with more questions than answers, know that all of that belongs here. Carry one small intention with you over the coming weeks. Light a candle for it. Adorn yourself for it. Speak to it kindly. Thank you for spending this sacred seasonal moment with me. If this episode resonated, I'd love for you to share it, leave a review, or send it to someone standing at their own threshold. Until next time, tend your fire gently and keep honoring your big crystal energy. Bye. Thank you so much for spending this time at the threshold with me. If you want to go deeper, follow me on Instagram at mystical.mama.ash, where I share daily crystal magic and behind the scenes of this liminal life. You can also find resources, previous episodes, and ways to work with me at bigcrystalenergy.com. We're also on YouTube at Big Crystal Energy Podcast. And if this episode resonated with you, please rate it and review it and share it with a friend that you think would connect with it. It would mean so much to me and helping build this beautiful community of other magical friends and crystal workers. Thank you so much. Until next time, bye.